embedded in Black American reform discourse. He described the situation at the start of his address, the conservation of races, as if he were eulogizing a position that might have been noble but was ultimately untenable. He observed that Negroes had always been skeptical about talk of races because they believed it advanced inaccurate propositions about their innate moral, mental, and political capacity. They tended to deprecate and minimize race distinctions, he observed, clinging to a belief that out of one blood God created all nations. For his part, it was a mistake to use ideals of human brotherhood to navigate social and political realities. Anyone who proposed such undertakings apparently failed to grasp what it meant for Negroes to be American. Reluctant Race Men reconstructs the tradition Du Bois sought to displace. It traces 19th-century challenges to race in reform initiatives, largely among Northern Black men. It thus situates the equation of race and identity at the end of a long trajectory of collective action. Repudiations of race developed as a critical dimension of antebellum reform work and persisted through the turn of the century. A broad assortment of reformers issued challenges to the logic and ethics of race practices, condemning their configurations of difference, sameness, and rank for destabilizing bases of public authority, contracting the boundaries of duty and association, and eroding the foundations of citizenship, freedom, manhood, and humanity. Race was a construct that distorted identities and thwarted progress. Judgments of this sort informed a host of reform endeavors before and after emancipation. Records of race challenges appear in religious and secular periodicals, convention proceedings, sermons, ethnological treatises, literature, and political speeches, sources familiar to scholars of African American history. Such materials reveal that race was central to Black American reform endeavors in ways that prevailing accounts of activism have not clearly delineated. The sources include a spectrum of actors: abolitionists, immigrationists, educators, temperance campaigners, lawyers, church leaders, anti-colonizationists, missionaries, writers, physicians, and voting rights advocates who devoted aspects of their work to questioning the coherence of dividing, grouping, and ranking people into races. Prominent antebellum and Reconstruction era figures were in the forefront of questioning the construct. Minister and newspaper editor Samuel Cornish, Philadelphia businessman James Forten Sr., abolitionists Frederick Douglass and Robert Purvis, physician James McCune Smith, and African Methodist Episcopal AME church leaders Daniel Payne and Benjamin Tucker Tanner were among the many vocal race critics. Joining them were individuals whose prominence diminished over time. William Whipper and ministers Hosea Easton, Theodore Wright, and Samuel Ringgold Ward raised oppositional voices, along with such pseudomonous reformers as Americanus, Penn, Euthymus, and Viator, whose ideas are the only certain aspects of their identities. As age and death muted the voices of early challengers, a rising generation of reformers reinterpreted the concept's significance. In the wake of Reconstruction, Du Bois was among the individuals who formulated agendas for progress as race men, reformers committed to developing a collective racial consciousness as a foundation for advancing the race. Their initiatives did not eradicate race challenges. Affiliates of the Negro Academy and similar venues continued to express misgivings. Writer Charles Chestnut, scholars Kelly Miller and William Scarborough, and ministers Theophilus Stewart and John P. Sampson were among the men who continued to question the veracity and validity of race practices. As reluctant race men, they extended the tradition of interrogating, contesting, interpreting, and denouncing race into the early 20th century. This book helps to explain how people of African descent became a putative American race. It reconstructs reform discourses that counter the notion that race is a self-evident